On to the next speaker, Dr. Ravindra Utgikar. He is Vice President, Corporate Strategy, and the subject of his presentation is Biomobility, Reimagining Transportation. Dr. Ravindra is an electronics and telecom engineer with a doctorate in international marketing strategies, has over 3 decades of diverse industry experience, both in the domestic and global markets. Uh, he has proven expertise in formulating and implementing business strategies for his company, Praj Industries, and they are doing it very well. He has published technical and management papers in international and domestic journals, and he's presently a member of CII Western Regions Committee on Innovation, Technology, and Digitalization. Over to you, Dr. Ravindra. 25 minutes.
You can hear.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, first of all, for the invite. Really appreciate great plenary session by ma'am. I think insightful presentation by the earlier speakers. I would straightway dive into the presentation, which I am happy to share. Just let me know once it's up the screen so that we can get started.
Yes, it's there. Go ahead.
There?
Yeah.
It's there in the slideshow mode, right? Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. So since I have limited time, I'll just run through the outline of the presentation. So I'm going to talk a little bit about climate change, what the imminent danger that we have, what are the potential solutions, how energy transition has emerged as a great pathway, how is bioeconomy fitting into this whole puzzle of energy transition. Then we will dive deep into the mobility and how we are doing it at Praj. It's something which I'm going to spend time on. But I think the next slide actually gives you a pictorial view of what a terrible year 2023 has been. No matter which part of the world, there have been climate disasters, and unfortunately, they are on the rise. So clearly, we have a strong signal or amber light saying that the time is running out. We got to do something about it. And then there is a report, recent report I pulled out, which actually captures so many climate calamities that have been reported through the year. And those have obviously resulted in human deaths, people who are impacted have been uprooted, and obviously the economic damages. The researchers have shown that while most of the economic damage was in the Western world, the human life damages, 9 out of 10 was in the developing world. So that's a terrible news. If you look at the next slide, that's even more appalling. So what this slide actually tells you is that if you look at the average climate calamities from the beginning of this millennium, last 20 years, and if you compare them with the climate calamities that have happened in the last year, significantly there is a rise. So 400 versus 370. So clearly the trend is going northwards, and all these have been captured, well documented, which means we have to do something on a war footing. The time is fast running out, and that's been spoken out at various climate events, various global events, whether it is, think tanks coming together on the G20 platform, World Economic Forum platform, or the recent climate summit that was held last year in Dubai. Clarion calls are given for net zero, which is actually all over the newspapers. And how do we achieve to that net zero? There are clearly established 4 pathways. One is obviously energy transition, transitioning to cleaner, greener sources of energy, moving away from fossil fuels. Another is forestation. This year's World Environment Day theme was about land restoration, where we are aware that we are fast losing land and we got to do something about it, which means we need to do a big effort on the forestation. Studies have shown that in the human life, we actually consume oxygen and emit carbon dioxide, which is equivalent to 14 trees in their life cycle absorbing carbon dioxide. So we must all have an obligation to plant 14 trees that can actually equate the carbon that we exhale. Obviously, the next is about circular economy: reduce, recycle, reuse, repurpose, replenish. Prime Minister has given a clarion call during the Glasgow Summit, Lifestyle for Environment Life, as one of the important initiatives. And obviously, there are technologies which are in the carbon sequestration, which are still on the learning curve. But for today's discussion, we are going to concentrate on energy transition. Energy transition call again are given time and again at various reports that are coming out, whether it is technology reports, whether it is global economy outlooks, or how actually the energy transition is going to help us get to the magical number of keeping the temperature rise below the 1.5 degrees centigrade from the pre-industrial levels. So there is ample documentation to show that we got to embrace the energy transition. Energy transition is something that is not new, as you can see in the next slide. From the ancestral, our ancestor who used to actually go for forest wood cutting, and then from there till the time we discovered coal, and then till the discovery of oil, and now again we are going back to finding another frontier, which is in the form of green and clean energy, which is actually the topic of my presentation. So climate change, energy transition is not new. We have experienced it in the past, which we have to now accelerate going forward. And then when you talk about energy transition to clean and green sources, we typically talk about solar and wind, geothermal, green hydrogen, nuclear, hydro. But for the purpose of today's discussion, we are going to concentrate on bioenergy, which brings me to the topic of bioeconomy. Clearly, bioeconomy is here to stay. Its contributions to the Indian GDP have been in excess of $100 billion, and it's only growing. Expected to be about $300 billion even before the turn of this decade. It's a knowledge-based economy where you use the biological resources for the production of products that are more environment friendly, eco-friendly in all aspects of life. Clearly, its benefits are appealing. We all have studied in science that plants absorb carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, and the goods and services or products made from biological resources, when consumed, emit carbon dioxide. In other words, we are only recycling the carbon that is in the atmosphere, unlike using fossil fuel, which are firmly beneath the Earth's surface. So bioeconomy's circular nature makes it very attractive. So it has definitely emerged as one of the most promising pathways. Coming to the mobility part, which is where the today's discussion is focused, we have seen that mobility has evolved from the 18th century over the last millennium to present millennium. We are clearly seeing the shift towards cleaner, greener sources, whether it is rail, road, or even surface, marine transportation. We are seeing that even though transportation landscape continues to be dominated by the internal fuel, we are seeing that the green fuels are emerging. Obviously, we cannot undermine the contribution of transportation sector. This actually is a statistical overview of how automobile sector is considered as a bellwether of Indian economy, whether it is creation of jobs, whether it is export, whether it is foreign direct investments, the number of plants of auto OEMs or auto ancillaries. Clearly, this sector is a barometer of Indian economy. If the automobile sector is doing well, that means the economy is doing well, purely because the consumption and generation centers are not necessarily the same. So people, goods have to move all over, and for that, transportation is the basic need of the hour. This sector has predominantly been in play on the internal combustion engines, and it has its own advantage, as we know, very reliable, very trustworthy. We all have seen it's time tested, it's safe, it's established. So clearly, it's something which is backbone of today's transportation sector. Having that said, there are challenges which are very evident and amply known about the, specifically talking about the greenhouse gas emissions. We are also talking about the severe dependency on the oil imports. All of us are living in metro cities, are mindful of the traffic congestion problems. A lot of our transportation, especially in the commercial side, is on diesel, which is even more harmful with higher number of suspended particles in the air. So we got to do something about it. So what can we do to move away from the internal combustion engine, at the same time use its benefits? There are a number of technologies that are available. So those technologies we'll look at one by one. So if we quickly look at electric vehicles, clearly it's the flavor of the year. There are a lot of flair of the season. There are lots of production linked incentives and some of those schemes, especially in the urban mobility for the passenger car and more so for the two-wheeler. We are seeing more and more investment coming in this segment, more and more innovations coming in this segment. Clearly, lots of benefits associated with electric mobility, more so in the, like I said, in the urban environment, because its reliability over the long haul interstate or intercontinent has yet to be proven. It has its own set of baggages where the electricity comes from, whether it is fossil sources or whether it is renewable sources. What about the import of battery? What about the ethical mining aspects? How do you dispose the waste? The more you embrace batteries and electric vehicles and semiconductors, its challenge of disposition has no definitive answer as of today. Range anxiety continues to be one of the challenge. We know that the infrastructure, although scaling up, it's still a big concern, especially when you leave the urban areas. So some of these areas continue to dog and show concerns over the electric mobility. So what we are saying that we are promoting the biomobility concept, which is actually harnessing renewable, low carbon transportation fuels, which actually help recycle the carbon, because these are purely made from agricultural resources. In the biofuel mobility, you clearly have some of the technologies which are established, which is biodiesel and 1G ethanol. Some of those advanced biofuels which are ushering on the screen, getting fast recognition. And clearly the next phase of growth is going to come from biohydrogen, biomarine fuel. So whether it is road transportation, air transportation, or marine transportation, biomobility solution of biofuels is playing an important role in sustainable decarbonization across the transportation sector. Government recognizes this, and therefore they have been coming in very progressive policies, and these progressive policies are helping us scale greater heights in terms of reducing our dependency on the imported fuel. They are helping us curb our greenhouse gas emission. There are several flagship initiatives that the government has been coming up with, and biomobility program supports it. We are clearly seeing that today we are around 15% ethanol blending, but we are also seeing that there are ambitious plans to get up to 20% ethanol blending, and then there are flex fuel policies that are in the offing. So clearly the success of Indian ethanol blending program world has taken notice, and therefore at the last G20 presidency, where India had its presidency, the launch of Global Biofuel Alliance alongside Brazil and America, the world is taking notice. Around 22 countries have already signed to that Global Biofuel Alliance. I think ma'am in her plenary address made mention of it. So clearly we see that India can continue to leverage its success of biofuel blending program going forward. So we are saying this biomobility actually works very well with a conventional IC engine based gasoline based mobility, where you are able to blend ethanol, and then therefore you are able to ethanol being rich in oxygen content, we are able to complete the combustion very well, which results in curbing the greenhouse gas emission through the IC engines. There are also lower particulate matter in terms of suspended matters, which also minimizes the health hazard. We are seeing that the 20% every time we are fueling our vehicle, we know that there is a blend of around 12 to 15% already coming in. Days are not very far when 2025 will have achieved 20% ethanol blending across gasoline. But we have to go, we cannot be remaining satisfied with this. There are much bigger plans where you can come up with strong hybrid vehicles, which actually take ethanol blends which are in excess of 20%, can also work with the electric mobility. So these vehicles are also been launched. They are also seen on the road, which are getting fast popularity because of the energy efficiency they are achieving, because of the environmental benefits they are achieving. So we will see going forward a lot of hybrid vehicles coming in the way once the flex fuel policy kicks in, where the internal combustion engine is able to take ethanol blends in excess of 20%. We've seen that those technologies are available in Brazil, in America. There is no reason why OEMs can't offer that technology in India. So we are seeing a bigger and brighter future for biofuels, even in the passenger car segments. And like I said, you can see that some of these.
Yeah, Sunny, tell me. Good evening.
Yeah, shall I continue?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay. So some of these high-profile cars have seen being launched in the recent event. So I think there is a beginning that is made, and Maruti and Toyota have launched these vehicles, which have shown a good success. So I'm sure the other OEM manufacturers are taking note of it, its benefits. So we'll see more and more flex fuel strong hybrid vehicles coming in the play. And if you look at the tabulated comparison between conventional mobility, electric mobility on several parameters which are socio-economic, environmental, and energy related in nature, you have a very different kind of a picture. And if you add that biomobility, and if we look at the win-win solution that is together, we are going to see that there are lots of green that we can get here once we have a biomobility integrated into conventional mobility and the new mobility. The conventional mobility has some of the challenges in form of carbon emissions, some environmental issues, and foreign exchange coming. We also know that because of the battery technology, there are indeed some concerns, which is why you see the amber and red dots there. Clearly, everything, if we go green growth, which is also promoted in the budget, we can leverage and harvest our captive resources, and therefore biomobility has a big role to play. And then eventually we go forward, we see that there are flex fuel vehicles that are going to come in the play, which will have benefits of conventional sturdiness, stability, efficiency of conventional mobility, benefits of battery-based or electric mobility, and more importantly, because sustainability mandates and ESG mandates are going to play a big role, we see that flex fuel hybrid vehicles are able to offer benefits of all sorts of mobility. So this is a very, very demonstrating slide as to how there is a coexistence of different type of technologies there. And then coming to the Praj Industries, the company that I represent, which is a 40-year-old company, the numbers speaks for themselves, but it is India's best known industrial biotechnology company. Our founder chairman, Dr. Pramod Chaudhary, is a recipient of George Washington Carver Award, first Indian to get so, and also William C. Holmberg Award for his relentless contributions to the bioeconomy and more so in the biofuel space. And what we have done is, in the bioeconomy domain, we have two strong pillars, which is biomobility, which is about fuels, which help us sustainable decarbonization of the transportation sector. And then we have something called bioprism, which is actually helping recycle the carbon by way of biochemicals and biomaterials. And all this we are able to achieve striking a fine balance and harmony between using diverse feedstocks, agricultural feedstocks, developing technology that can get the best out of that feedstocks, and making products which are collaborating and not necessarily competing with traditional products. The more we use the bioproducts, we have World Bioproducts Day around the corner on the 7th of July. It actually is to spread awareness about the sustainability and sustainable development aspects. So we believe that bioeconomy, with its strong benefits for the environment, is here to make bigger contributions. At Praj, we have harnessed those technologies very effectively. So you can see this 1G technology, where different types of feedstocks undergo some technological processes through pre-treatment, biochemical, biothermal processes, and then downstreaming and aligning this, and then we have fuels coming out. So such 1G bioethanol plants, as many nearing to 400 plants are existing. There is a big install capacity which is getting pushed now. So all this is helping us to take one step closer to energy self-sufficiency, especially in the transportation sector. And if you look at the 2G, which is what also spoken in the plenary session, and this is India's most talked about plant, integrated biorefinery using the rice straw as a feedstock. And clearly its benefits are appalling. Two more such plants, one for BPCL and one for HPCL, are coming up. 2G technology, this is a kind of a defining moment. Success of these biorefineries will pave way for more biorefineries in the Indian market. And like ma'am was telling, the valorization, that is using maximum value-added products, co-products from this biorefinery, makes the techno-commercial feasibility even more attractive. So this is going to redefine the future of biorefineries in India. Last year, we had a aha moment where Praj teamed up with Air India, Asia, and IOCL to fly first commercial passenger flight from Pune to Delhi with the sustainable aviation fuel blends. There was a mention about CORSIA guidelines. Those guidelines are coming. With those coming in, we have days are not very far before we are able to decarbonize the Indian skies, which are poised for a big growth because all the government focus of 100 new airports in tier 2, tier 3 cities. So we feel there is a great future awaiting and ushering for sustainable aviation fuel, and India, not only for the domestic market, but also for the global market, has a great chance of becoming a global hub for sustainable aviation fuel. Then clearly, lot is being talked about renewable natural gas or compressed biogas, which is also something the government has strong focus on. Different types of biological feedstocks, municipal solid waste, industrial effluent waste can be harnessed, and using the biothermal biochemical processes, we are able to get gas output. Of course, it took the whole ecosystem and entire offtake mechanism, feedstock mechanism has taken some time to come together, but we have seen very success of these commercial scale plants. And I'm sure that going forward, CBG has a very important role to play in the energy security and energy independence. Bioeconomy's case becomes even more stronger if you put that and map it on sustainable development goals. Amongst the 17 sustainable development goals defined by United Nations, bioeconomy interjects about 11 of them, whether they're social goals, ecological goals, or clean industry and economic goals. So all in all, we believe that, sustainable climate action is not a matter of choice, but an imperative given the imminent dangers of climate change. We clearly know automobile industry is a backbone of Indian economy and it is poised for a big growth. We have to decarbonize transportation sector to ensure futures for our future generation, which is a dire need. Biofuel-based transportation provides a very efficient socio-economical environmental solution in the form of sustainable development. We must harness our captive resources. Biomobility, which in the form of biofuels, have a definitive place to coexist with traditional mobility and the future mobility in the form of electric mobility. And we at Praj, with our state-of-the-art R&D facility at Praj Matrix, with over 400 national and international patents in the technology domain, are at the forefront of facilitating that change. That really ends my presentation in short 23 minutes that I was allocated. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravindra. Well timed and well presented. You have summed up quite well what all the Praj platform has to offer. And
Yes.
there's no doubt that amongst the domestic companies, Praj leads the pack of all the companies in launching different bio solutions and particularly aimed towards bio mobility.
Yes.
There are no questions right now in the Q&A box, but I remember there was a question at the beginning. Someone has deleted that. The question was very pertinent in the context of what you have presented. No doubt, 1G plants that Praj has offered are very successful. They are proven. They are operating to almost full capacity. The reason being, they are based on a captive feedstock from a nearby sugar industry. If you compare that with the other three transport solutions that you presented, one is CBG, the second is 2G ethanol, and lastly, the sustainable aviation fuel. Now, all these three will not have the benefit or the comfort that the 1G plant has. Why? Because the feedstock cannot be considered captive. You cannot base a capacity of a plant based on locally or nearby available feedstock. You need to have augmentation. Otherwise, based on nearby feedstock, which will have zero transportation cost, you will get a plant of a minuscule capacity.
Yes.
And as Vartikaji said in the keynote address, the main problem that the biofuel plants will have to overcome and successfully is how to ramp up capacities by collating, collecting, augmenting feedstock so that the capacity can go up. So you will need to have a proper feedstock collection arrangement possible. Now,
Spot on.
towards this, what is Praj doing to enable this?
Wonderful. Wonderful. And that's a great, I would say, analysis of how this industry is moving. Well, the sugar industry has been in existence for decades now, right? So bolt-on models for 1G production attached to sugar mills has been a proven model, right? Compared to that, these technologies have just ushered or they're maturing now, right? So the entire ecosystem, whether it is feedstock supply chain or whether it is offtake arrangements, it's still a work in progress. It is yet to function like a well-oiled machine. But I'm sure at government level, they are taking great initiatives in forming progressive policies. At industry level, we are trying to develop a resilient ecosystem. We are trying to make sure that we work with the nodal agencies, we work with farmer producer organizations, we do more education, we make people aware, we try to train people. So efforts are made all out on various fronts. There is a CI biofuel cell at a national level where we are trying to get all stakeholders under one roof and try to make everybody see the big picture, that how not just farmers, not just industry, not just end consumers or nation, but the globe as a whole, as an environment, we all stand to gain into this. So I think days are not very far when we get this, what shall I say, a striking harmony between all these ecosystem. And efforts are being made in the form of all thought leadership forums to create awareness, to get stakeholders aboard, to put our own investments on table for newer technologies, continuous research, development, innovation to maximize throughputs, to minimize energy footprints, to create more value-added products, valorization of the streams, to bring energy efficiency, reduce utility and carbon footprint down. So I think as an industry, we have a technology play. We are definitely doing our bit, but that's not good enough. As a leader, we have to reach out to people, which is what we are doing. And I think days are not very far. Like I told you, the bioeconomy was not even a $2-digit billion-dollar economy a few years back. Now it's already $120 billion plus. And there is an ambitious growth target. So on a northward trajectory, I think days are not very far. After the success of these 2G plants, after the aviation, sustainable aviation, SAF regulations kick in, we will get even bigger momentum. But I think great analysis.
Thank you.
Ajay.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In short, it's work in progress, and I am sure you're looking at all the possible and the best possible solutions for that.
Absolutely.
Just few questions have come in the Q&A box, but I'll just take up one, which is asking how about using ethanol as a hydrogen carrier? Has Praj thought about it? Is there work in progress for
Wonderful.
that also?
So ethanol by itself as it is may have a difficulty in hydrogen making, although you have possibilities of CBG and taking out the carbon element and using that. So you have FCEVs, you have fuel cell electric vehicles, you have hydrogen. So the different derivatives of ethanol molecule can be used for making hydrogen. And we are looking at green hydrogen, we are looking at blue hydrogen. Both possibilities are there. As everyone else, this is again a work in progress because we have to hit the sweet spot of techno-commercial feasibility.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ravindraji. It was pleasure having you and sharing your thoughts on.
Anytime, sir, for you.
Thank you. Thank you.